You know, I think a lot about the Lord just kind of just gave me this message. And I was just thinking about all the prophets, kind of all the people in the Old Testament who just wanted to kind of give up on the people that God had sent them to work with, like with Jonah or like Elijah. They were just send fire and brimstone on them. I saw fire and brim. They said, just burn them up. I can't with them, you know? I cannot. Folks, we need to be patient with people. We need to forgive people. We need to treat them with the same forgiveness and patience that God had for us. Like the story of the two debtors that God gave us, right? The one debtor owed millions and millions of dollars to the king, and the king was gonna sell him and his family away to pay off that debt. But the debtor asked for forgiveness, and the king felt pity for him, let him go, give him more time. Now, that debtor, the first debtor, went out to someone who had owed him debt, who'd only owed him $1,000, and it specifically says, it really rings with me, it says he grabbed him by his throat. You know, he was out to get him. And so the second debtor pleads and asks for forgiveness. He says, please. He says the same old thing that the first debtor said. But the first debtor won't give that forgiveness. He says no. And he has the second debtor thrown in prison. And some of the servants of the king heard and saw this and told the king about this. And the king was wroth. He was full of wrath. And he said to the first servant, he says, you evil servant. He says, how are you not going to forgive this debtor when I've forgiven you 10 times of what that guy owes you? How are you going to do that? And so he throws that second debtor in jail, or the first debtor, pardon me. He throws that first debtor in jail, and he says, I'm going to torture you until you can pay your debts. And it's in verse 35. Then, so that story basically goes from Matthew chapter 18, from 26 to 35. I'm gonna make sure of that. Hold on. Pardon me. It's 21 to 35. It's verses 21 to 35. So, and at the very end, the last message of through 21 to 35, verse 35 says, that's what my heavenly Father will do to you if you refuse to forgive your brothers and sisters from your heart. So folks, God, you won't receive his mercy, right? You won't receive his mercy. If you don't forgive others, how can he forgive you, right? And so that verse before says, you know, I will torture you until you can pay off your debt. So it's almost saying you're going to go to hell for not forgiving others as I've forgiven you, right? And so it's kind of saying, hey, you've got to pay off this. You will never, ever, ever. That's like the equivalent. Yeah, it's a perfect representation of what hell is, you know? It's torture. And you have to live and you have to stay there until your debts will be paid off. You have to pay off your debt of sin. You will never be able to do that. And so where is that? That's hell. It's eternity. Because you will never, ever, ever, ever be able to pay off your debts. Why? Because only Jesus can. His blood has saved us and paid off our debts. He died to pay our debts. Right? So folks, forgive your brothers and sisters. Folks, be patient with your brothers and sisters. You are not any better than them, right? All right? Be patient with them. Now, it's completely separate when it talks about, like it talks about in Ecclesiastes, how if you rebuke a foolish man, he's not gonna listen to you, right? That doesn't mean to stop being a witness to him, and if he says nasty things or she says nasty things to you, that you don't forgive them. That's not what it's meaning. It's meaning you just have to love them from a distance, because they won't listen to you, and you can only give that to God. So folks, forgive your brothers and sisters. God bless. Follow him. Would you be ready if Jesus came today?